Won't you take me back to Tennessee?
The award-winning Tennessee Wildcast is on the air with the latest info about hunting, fishing, boating, wildlife watching, and all things outdoors. This episode is brought to you by GSM Outdoors, whose vision is to preserve the sportsman's legacy, fuel innovation, and enable the next generation of outdoor enthusiasts. Think outside. That's where you'll find us. Now, make welcome your host, Jason Harmon.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Tennessee Wildcast. We're glad you're tuning in. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We got another great show lined up for you today, and we are back at Warriors Path State Park, and Mr. Matt Cameron is helping me co-host. We are in a beautiful spot here, Matt.
Spring is in the air. Turkey's gobbling already. I mean, it's just a great time to be a Tennessean.
And you know what? The smallmouth are biting.
Ooh, yeah, buddy. Finally, your boy and Jim Shoup fished all morning, 5 hours. You talk about patience for one bite. That one bite was a heck of a bite.
Yes, that one bite is that's worth the trip, I guess is how you could say that. Yeah, so we're excited to be here. This park offers a lot, from fishing, golfing, hiking, camping, just bring your family and your dog, do some trail walking or exercise, things like that. It's a great little park, one of our big state parks. I've heard it's one of the most visited state parks. So first time I've been here, and I think I will be back.
Yeah, same here.
But today we got some characters lined up for us today. We've got Region 4 Wildlife Program Manager John Mike, Region 4 WMA Coordinator Joe Elkins on the end down here, and then Buffalo Springs WMA Wildlife Technician Tony Hinkle. So we got a cool show lined up for you today. It's all about Dutch oven cooking. And you say, what's Dutch oven cooking, Matt? What is it?
Well, I'm going to have to let them explain it. I don't know where the name even comes from. Do y'all educate us on why is this a Dutch oven? What's Dutch about it?
Oh,
I'm not really sure why they call it Dutch oven. Basically, it's the type of oven that our ancestors used. Cast iron. We do what we call camp Dutch oven. Camp Dutch oven is a little bit unique. You can buy different types of Dutch ovens.
Okay.
You even got the fancy ones now. We got some at my house that we use cooking. It's cast iron, but it's ceramic. It's got that ceramic layer on there. The unique thing about cast iron is the way it holds its heat, the way it evenly radiates heat as far as cooking. As long as your heat is right, and what I'm saying heat is right, is the right amount of heat on the top and right amount of heat on the bottom, your food will cook evenly. And as we talked earlier, the unique thing about these, it is a camp Dutch oven. You can go outdoors and cook, and anything you can cook at home, you can cook in a campsite with one of these. One of the main differences between a camp Dutch oven and a regular Dutch oven, number one, is the lid.
Okay.
If you notice, there's a rim on the lid, and that is to hold either charcoal. And one of the guys that all three of us watch and get recipes from is Kent Rollins. He's a guy out in Oklahoma. He is a world champion chuck wagon chef.
Okay.
And he uses natural wood itself. He's got a big stove he calls Bertha. He's a unique guy to watch. He is fun to watch.
Yep.
And anyhow, he'll have oak, mesquite, different types of wood cooking in there for cooking on top of the stove. And then when he gets ready to do a Dutch oven dish, he has trivets, which, this is a trivet, but there's different styles of trivets. That's a trivet you set inside the pot. We use liners. A lot of people don't like to use liners. We cook for so many people and at different functions. It's easier for us to use the liners because if we need to leave, we can just pull the liner out. It's got the food. We can load our pots up and leave. But I'm just sort of getting off topic. But you put your heat source, whether it's charcoal, natural wood, on top, and you put charcoal underneath. That's the unique thing about these. These have legs. The pioneers, they'd have their campfire, and as the ashes would go down, they would take these pots that would have the legs and more or less set it on top of those ashes, then take a shovel and pile some on top, and cook their food.
So it creates an oven, like Dutch oven.
Yeah.
It makes that thing heat all the way around all sides, and and y'all have a formula. It's like 30 briquettes or whatever makes
We don't
350 or
Rule of thumb, and these guys, I don't want to do all the talking. Rule of thumb, quit laughing, Matt. I've known Matt since he started.
We wasn't sure if we'd able to get anything else.
Yeah, I'm the old guy in the group.
Just let you go.
I'm the old guy in the group because they always aggravate me. I've just passed my 37-year mark. And even one of the guys that we work with in forestry, he's asking about one of the WMAs, and he said, we're just going to call you Genesis. So anyhow, it's rule of thumb. It doesn't matter what size of pot. These pots come in different sizes. Now, somebody that's just starting out, I'd recommend a 12. A 12 will feed a family of 4 really easy.
Mm-hmm.
If you're like me and my wife, just the 2 of us, we can do dishes in a 10.
Mm-hmm.
But anyhow, in these, it's really easy, and with the 12, it's just all around easy to do one dish.
Is it
Or you
the
can do
diameter?
dessert.
12-inch pot? Is that what's called a 12?
This is they make different ones. That's the reason we brought these. There's a 12 shallow. They make a 10 shallow, a 10 deep, and they make a 12 shallow and a 12 deep, and this is a deep, this is a shallow. That's where you have to be careful. If you're making biscuits or some type of bread, use your deep because it will rise.
Gotcha. Yep.
And you'll have all that heat. And part of this is learning from experience. I baked a cake one day in a 10 shallow and put too much batter and started smelling burnt cake. So anyhow, the deep is the best all around for us. And like I said, for families of 4, 12 deep, if you're doing like a casserole, a meatloaf, anything like that, like I said, anything you can fix at home in the oven, you can fix in a Dutch oven, a camp Dutch oven while you're out camping.
So, touched on a little bit of this, but the charcoal, the cast iron, what are some of the other tools that you're going to need? The heat, the heat and the cast iron, but you're
I forgot
other tools that you're going to need to make a dish.
Okay, I forgot to tell you about the heat. I'm sorry, we got no chasing the rabbit trail. Hey guys, that's just the way I am. Regular heat, 1 row of charcoal outside, 1 row inside, and 1 row at the bottom. You don't push them all the way underneath.
Okay,
You bring it out to the edge.
Okay,
1 row at the bottom. Rule of thumb, that's 350 degrees.
Oh, okay.
For every piece of charcoal you put on top, it'll increase the temperature 5 to 10 degrees. So, sorry, I meant to get that out and we started chasing the rabbit trail.
Gotcha. Okay, so you got the charcoal, you got your cast iron. What other tools and equipment are you going to need? Now, I'm going to reach over here to Joe or Tony to jump in.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Tony. You're
Take a breath.
One thing I'll mention here, these pots, like John said, they're going to get 350 degrees or hotter. The weather plays a lot of part into that with your relative humidity, wind, and everything like that. We cook in the cold weather, heat of the summer. You don't want to touch these pots barehanded. So this is a lid lifter, and it's just really easy to use. You just set it on there. You can pick that hot lid up. I'd also recommend a good pair of welding gloves just to handle the bales of these pots because they're going to get really, really hot.
But be careful with those gloves because I've had welding gloves that I've pulled some charcoal and then pans out. Those pans can still get hot through the glove. So be careful.
Yes, absolutely. But a good pair of gloves is essential to have. Even good footwear, because you could even knock some charcoal off on you. I wouldn't recommend wearing a pair of flip-flops in the summertime.
Yeah, exactly.
And cast iron's heavy, too.
Cast iron's heavy. There is a lot of weight to these things, especially when you get a good dish in them. This is just we call it a lid stand, and John was talking about some of these pots having the legs under them. Some of them don't.
Okay.
They're just more like an oven. So you can just set that down either direction here and put your fire around it, your coals, and set your pot right on top of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Plus, that gives you a good place to set your lid, too, instead of actually setting it on the ground.
Yeah.
So one of the things about the heat that just come to mind, as you're cooking in these pots, it's a good rule of thumb to not only just keep an eye on what you're cooking, but as you check that lid, turn it a quarter of a turn ever so often.
Okay.
And that'll help that convection and that heat move around inside that pot.
Because you may have a hotter coal at one spot or something, and if you move that, it's going to cook more
It just kind of distributes that heat.
Do you spin the whole pot ever, or you leave it pretty much where it's at?
Pretty much leave your pot right where it's at.
Okay.
And just rotate that lid.
Okay.
Yeah. Some people do rotate the pot. I mean, it's what you get used to.
Right.
Awesome. Okay. And then I'm sure other tools or utensils and things that you need, just your average, whatever you need for cooking. You need spoons and all that fun stuff. But
well, then
the basics.
Also, a cooking table, or as Tony mentioned, a trivet. There's different companies have different sizes of trivets.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are. If you get to watch Kent Rollins, like I said, watch him quite a bit. He produces his own stands, and he has part of it. If it's windy like it is now, he'll have a shorter trivet to get the pot closer to the fire. He'll have a taller one.
Makes sense.
So there's different products out there like that. And then one of the big things, in addition to your pot, if you're going to try to cook 2 or 3 dishes at a time in 2 or 3 different pots, what we use is a cooking table. And Camp Chef makes one, Lodge makes one, and they're made for camp Dutch oven cooking.
So you put the coals on top of that table.
You put the pot on there and put the coals right underneath the pot.
Okay.
It's about the size of this table we've got right here. Isn't it? It's very
So
simple.
that gets all the cooking up to you. You're not down in the fire.
Having to bend over.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Well, let's jump back on my notes here. How did y'all get into this? How did this team become a team? If you've been with the Tennessee Wildlife, you've worked for them, or you've been in Region 4 or even across the state, you may have seen these guys cooking for different events or things. But how did y'all get into this?
Joe.
Call you out, Joe.
It all started with P. White.
Okay, yeah.
And,
the legend.
The legend P. White. So Pete he was really active in the Dutch oven cooking, and he hosted a lot of what they call dogs, Dutch oven gatherings. And that's, a lot of enthusiasts come from all over, and everybody just puts recipes together, and we have a good day of fellowship and cooking. And then we started doing programs with TWRA. We would go to events and meetings and provide different Dutch oven desserts and meals, and it just grew from there. And I think all of us do it in our own time now. I do a lot of events for my church, for scouts, and for events on my own time as well. And my wife gets mad because I never cook Dutch oven at home. I always travel somewhere to cook Dutch oven. But it, as far as I'm concerned, it started with Pete, and that's where a lot of us got started. And once he retired, John has kind of taken over his position as far as the Dutch oven stuff goes, and we've continued on to, we get a lot of demand from folks to come out and cook. So it's a lot of fun, a lot of fellowship, and you get to meet a lot of people. And who doesn't like to eat good food and around good people, right? So
we're about to bust. We paid a bill, and y'all can tell us what you cooked for us, but I didn't know if we'd be able to continue recording after eating all we ate in the sunshine. And it's like, man, I'm going to sleep. Y'all can have this podcast today. But and there's a lot of work that goes into this, and I don't think people realize that on the back end, just what it took for you guys to come here and set up and cook lunch for us today. I mean, it takes some effort.
Well, we enjoy it. That's the big thing, and it's just, I think we're all raised around cooking, and since we were young. I know Tony and I have talked quite a bit. I mean, I lost my mother when I was really young, and my mama Mike and Poppy Mike raised us, and she cooked all the time. I mean, one of the dishes I made was crackling cornbread. I learned how to make cornbread from her, and everybody says, "Give me your recipe." I don't have it written down. I can't tell you the amounts or nothing. It was just the way she taught me and my brother how to make cornbread.
Yeah. And it was amazing, by the way, that cornbread. I mean, the crispy outside, I mean, it was just perfect. It was just melt in your mouth.
Well, you talked about this man, Kent Rollins. It's Rollins, correct?
That's correct.
I was calling him Rawlings, like the baseball glove. It's Kent Rollins. It's a great resource for people if they're wanting to get into this to go and visit. Is it a YouTube channel or a website, or what is it?
YouTube.
Okay.
YouTube and Facebook.
Yes, it's on Facebook.
Both of them. Cool. Great resource. All right, and we want to talk about your favorite dish? I mean, you may not have one, but do y'all have anything specific that's your thing? Like, I mean, the cornbread's obviously. If John Mike's coming, he's making cornbread. But what else do y'all like to make?
Personally, I like to do a roast with vegetables as a main dish, and then do Black Forest cobbler, which is a cherry and chocolate cake with walnuts on top. And that's kind of my go-to. If I'm going to do a meal and a dessert, those two things are what I like to do.
So outstanding.
The roast, you're with any of these dishes, are you still looking for that 350 degrees oven?
Yeah.
You cook the roast, you just got to time it right, you know?
Yeah, it's just a matter of timing. And as you put your ingredients in and everything, you know, things that cook quicker, you might wait and add those a little later. That way they finish off at the same time.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Well, one thing about these is also on the inside, they have a lip. So when you put that on, and I was talking about roast, it seals up.
Uh-huh.
So it holds all the steam and it'll tenderize the meat.
It's almost like a little crock pot, kind of how a crock pot works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Tony? What's your favorite, your go-to?
You know, I think back, like John's talking about his grandmother, I think of my grandma Hinkle a lot. She always cooked in iron. And when I was little, she actually had a wood-burning stove in the kitchen. That's what she cooked on. And it was either fried chicken, and I do like to fry chicken just in a skillet, just southern fried chicken.
Mm-hmm.
But her go-to was always center sliced country ham. And then she would make the red eye gravy with that. A lot of people don't know what red eye gravy is.
Tell us.
It's really easy. You just fry your ham. You leave all your grease in the skillet, all that there. Once your ham's done, and add black coffee to it.
Black coffee.
Yes.
Okay.
Make a good pan of biscuits. You've got a meal right there. It's fantastic.
Wow.
So we don't only just use these ovens. We actually use skillets and different things, do fried potatoes and onions. And, you know, the cooking is limitless is what you can do. It's just anything you can do in the house, you can do on this cast iron, either outside or in the house.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, on the wild game end of things, do y'all have a specific wild game dish that you like to cook? Other than bobcat.
No, we don't do bobcat.
No, okay.
That was a Pete White
I thought it was
specialty.
possum. No, it wasn't possum. Bobcat, no.
I mean, it's been a while. I do deer occasionally, but it's been a long time. And then, like with one of the desserts I always make that I've had ladies fight over the spoon. It's crazy because I didn't make it a big enough pot. It's called a turtle cake.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Snapping turtle or painted turtle? Or?
No,
Lighter.
it's ooey gooey.
Chocolate, caramel, and nuts.
It's got
turtle,
chocolate,
right? Yep.
caramel, milk chocolate chips, Reese's peanut butter chips, and the milk chocolate cake, and you layer it in there. And I won't mention her name, but Becky Hensley, who's our regional business manager, was at one meeting, and she got her and two secretaries was up there, and it was all gone. And Becky grabbed the spoon and took off running and said, "I got it."
So what amazes me about some of these recipes that they're fairly easy. Y'all make it look so easy, and a lot of times it is because it's. You're using sometimes box ingredients like for your cake earlier.
Mm-hmm.
It was the Duncan Hines box, and you put in the ingredients in there, and they're willing to share it. You be quiet, man. No,
it's all scratch made, right?
But it's amazing how it comes together and how it's the process. I think that really takes it over the top.
Yeah, a lot of Dutch oven recipes are made to do in the field, like if you're camping, so you don't have access to refrigeration, or you're going to be out there for several days, and a lot of it is based in scouts. Scouts use Dutch ovens for their large gatherings and campouts, so they don't have a lot of room to take supplies and stuff. So, a cake mix, a can of Sprite, and you've got a cobbler.
Yep.
And a lot of these recipes, it's called a dump cobbler for that reason. You just dump everything in there, and it's easy to make.
Yeah.
Speaking of dump, that pineapple upside down cake that you made earlier was the bomb.
Yeah. Talk people through that one.
Well,
That's an awesome.
It's a really easy recipe. I just use a box cake mix, pineapple supreme, The only thing I add to it that's a little different is a box of vanilla pudding. Put 3 eggs in it. I don't use any oil. And, of course, the cherries that you put in there, I actually use the juice out of the pineapples and then out of the cherries to make that liquid.
Okay.
And just very little milk.
Just so moist.
Just very little milk. And that's the key with that. You know, any of these recipes that we do, feel free. Just jump in and just make your own as you go. That's kind of what we do. And, you know, the pineapple upside down cake, I've kind of come to really enjoy doing that one. It's done inside of the oven in a bundt pan. So you cut your pineapples in half and you just stand them up in the bottom, put your brown sugar in, drop a cherry in, pecans, whatever you want to put in there, and just bake it.
So it's when it comes out, it's beautiful. It had the rings and then had the cherries and the ring and the cherry. You placed those cherries just in those spots.
Tried to.
Yeah, it turned out great. But the first time you did it, you weren't.
No.
What was bad was cooking for the commission.
Yeah.
I thought that was funny. So we were all like watching today when it came out. Is it going to be right?
Yeah.
You flipped it over. It's perfect.
It turned out to be a dump cake that day. I will say this, when you're cooking in that oven inside of this, I like to use the 12 deep. It just seems like you get a little bit more heat convection on top of that.
Yeah.
And watch that bundt pan and just watch your cake when it starts pulling away from the edge and the center, gets good and brown. You're usually pretty close. So. Yep.
Well, I think another thing that's important to share with folks today, you talked about how the weather can play a huge factor in this. The wind, even the humidity, the rain, etc., can all play a factor. So kind of walk people through that, because we were like, today's pretty much perfect. But we still had one dish. It was taking a little while to come together.
Part of it was the wind. I'll let them talk about most of it. But rain, and like I said, if we're invited to come to cooking and it's raining and we know it's going to be raining the next day, a lot of times we call them so we can't make it. These pots aren't cheap. We try to buy seconds. Lodge store sells seconds, and that's usually what we buy as Lodge. There's different manufacturers. This one is Camp Chef. And they're cheaper than a Lodge, but still they're not what you could say cheap. Sure. Like this pot, I don't know what it costs now, but I think I paid $40 for it. These are like $79. And once you get cast iron hot, if you have cold water hit it, it's going to crack.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I'll let the guys talk about the rest of it. But that's one thing we always try to, if people want us to come and it's going to be raining and we tell them we may need to cancel, we'll ask them, can you put us in a barn? Can you put us in a shed? Mm-hmm. And most of the time they'll find some place to put us. Out of the weather. Out of the rain, out of the weather.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's probably hard to escape the humidity. But so, yeah, talk us through some of the weather issues that y'all run into.
One big thing that always gets me is wind. A lot of the tables have wind screens on them.
Okay.
Mine doesn't. And wind will actually intensify the heat for a short period of time. So you'll get really hot. You may even burn something, but then your charcoal burns up a lot quicker. So you're having to do more charcoal. You're having to moderate the temperature and make sure you're not burning stuff. And that can be a pain. Mm. You're either getting too hot or too cold.
Well, yeah. And today was almost perfect. We've had a beautiful day here today. Mm-hmm. Some early winds, but I think, everything held on and it turned out great. It was great dishes. Really enjoyed it for sure. Have to take home a few recipes.
No doubt. And so if somebody's looking to get into this starting from scratch, like what do y'all suggest or where do you suggest they shop? If they're not local in East Tennessee, there's a couple places here, but do you know of other places across the state where you go buy this or you buy it online?
You can buy Lodge online. They have outlet stores in Sevier County. They have outlet stores there in South Pittsburgh. That's where it's made, is in South Pittsburgh. Yep. But there's other dealers that carry Lodge. There's other dealers that carry Camp Chef. It's a lot of these cooking kitchen supply companies. One of them I've worked with for, not exclusively on Dutch ovens, but other stuff is K-Toms. We've had good luck out of those, and they don't have the full array, but they'll have some stuff as far as these type of cast iron Dutch ovens. But part of it's just look and look up kitchen supplies, or do a search on Kemp Dutch oven supplies, and it'll show a lot of distributors.
A lot of things you need, yeah.
Yeah, one thing I guess we should have mentioned. Get out here in a minute. The wind's hitting Mike and it's messed my ear up. But anyhow, these are pre-seasoned. You can buy cheaper cast iron products that are not pre-seasoned.
Oh, okay.
But going through the process of seasoning it takes some time and a little know-how. So, yeah, anybody that's wanting to get into it, highly recommend you go ahead and buy a pre-seasoned pot, pre-seasoned skillet, whatever the case may be, in cast iron, and learn how to cook in it. Then, if you really like it, then delve into learning how to season and do all that. Because it's if you get one that's rusty, getting it back in shape, it's not hard, but it is time-consuming.
That's one thing. I've got a few cast iron pots and pans and things, and it shows you how to bring them back. Even like on the Blackstones these days, those cast iron tops, you got to bring them back. You can't let them go and get rusty and that kind of thing. Yeah, Matt, let's talk about those real quick before we run out of time.
Real quick for just a second there. On cleaning these pots, after you cook in them, if you don't use a liner, personally, we don't use soap on ours. We just use hot water and a scraper, and then oil them down good after you're done with them.
Yep.
So that's just something to throw out there.
Definitely. That's one of the key things I think we cast iron all the way around. Yeah.
So y'all have more knowledge about these books than I do. One of y'all want to tell us these two publications, what we have here?
Well, I'm not very familiar with the yellow one. This is one that Pete White put out and wrote for the agency.
So we went back in the archives, and we have these files. We're going to try to get these republished and get them out there for folks to use to learn about Dutch oven cooking, or Appalachian heritage cooking is what this one's called, and then our other little recipe book. But thank y'all for doing this today. But I just appreciate the hard work y'all put into it.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for the hard work y'all put in on out in the field. A lot of years of experience standing right here.
Yes, they do.
Well, this is Tennessee Wildcast. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Keep coming back, and we'll see you next time.
Stay connected with TWRA by visiting our website at tnwildlife.org. And follow us on Facebook, X, and Instagram. You can invest in Tennessee's wildlife future by purchasing a license at GoOutdoorsTennessee.com. That's GoOutdoorsTennessee.com.